is also predominantly looking after all these activity of housing, and it is in government's agenda, top 5 agenda also. Since 2015, government is doing a lot of activities in terms of housing, and housing for all concept is already given by the government. So about the webinar, we will first focus on the aspects, what all aspects we should consider while buying the house, when we should start the house hunting, what all things we should consider. So Indian economy is currently having 13% of GDP as a real estate GDP, and as an estimate by 2031, 60 crore people will be under urbanization. So urbanization, infrastructure development is also. Am I audible to all properly? I'm getting some messages.
Yeah, yeah, you are
Now
audible.
you are.
Perfectly audible.
Now you are. Once you're coming closer to the mic, you're audible.
Let me use that. So Indian economy, real estate contributes 13% of the GDP to the Indian economy. Similarly, as per one survey, by 2031, 60 crore people will be under urbanization. There is a huge lot of development is yet to come, and since urbanization is also contributing to the infrastructure development, and government is also infrastructure is the main focus of the government. So let us see what all aspects we should consider, what all things we should consider while buying a home. So first aspect, I would say one should definitely define, is there a need? Is there a need to buy a home? If somebody is having a 2 BHK home, owned home, he might not need a home, a second home. But in current scenario, after COVID, 2 BHK is not also enough. What is happening? Everybody is needing more space. As two people are working from home, they need their separate private space to work. Then there is a larger home need which has arisen since 2020. That also affected, that has also not decreased the growth of home sales, not more than 10%. तो लास्ट एक साल में 10% से ज्यादा डिग्रो नहीं हुआ है. There has been markets, Mumbai, Pune, उसमें sales has impacted more, and it has achieved more sales in Mumbai and Pune, or you can say Maharashtra, because of some stamp duty relaxation by the government. So one need to decide what is my need. If somebody millennial has moved to a metro city and he's not having any house, and he has a plan of staying there in that metro city for lifelong, or maybe for 20-30 years, then there is definitely a need for him. If there is a need, what kind of need? Because if somebody is at 25 year of age, he may look for two kind of home. One is starter home, which is very affordable in terms of money, in terms of area also, it is very smaller. In dream homes, you will get a larger area, you have to invest lot of things, but every dream or requirement of you can be fulfilled. So currently starter homes demand is there, and dream home demand is not that much, because the people who are earning more than 2 crore or more than 1 crore are very less. But starter home can start with the people who is earning 5 lakh. They also can buy the starter homes. There are affordable housing segment which is going very well as on date, because everybody needs the house, and there are many benefits which we will cover in next slide. Once you decide I have a need, I should define my budget. How to define budget? First, you have to see your what is my take home salary, or what is my take home income through my self-employed business or through my any other source. I need to deduct my all household activity expenses. Then I need to deduct my any other existing liability, like somebody is having a car loan or personal loan, or maybe any other liability. Then after whatever is left, is there any other liability which may arise in future? Then whatever balance amount, we need to decide on that how much I can put this as a EMI. The budget definition by EMI, backward calculation towards the loan value, as well as what amount of equity one can infuse. That will derive your budget. Secondly, one should definitely see what is my duration. If somebody has moved to Mumbai and he's saying I will be moving after 3 years to Bangalore, as my company policy says you have to be transferred, or somebody saying after 5 years I have a plan to go back to my home, okay, then they should not think about buying a house, because since 2013 or 14, prices of home have been stable. Yes, it has seen an upward trend in few locations due to some location strategic advantages, but in normal, prices have not improved since last 5-6 years. So if your purpose of house to stay there for longer period like 20 years or more than 10 years, you should definitely think about house. Then location in nowadays, proximity to office. Earlier that was a scenario कि I should see my house near my office only or within the range where I can suitably travel. It should not be like 2 घंटा मेरे को travel करना पड़ रहा है. It should be well within the scenario of like 1 hour travel. Then that proximity is no more now due to COVID. We don't know how much it will come back or not. Nobody is aware about it. So location is having that much advantage after COVID. Location is the only factor which will make your asset or make your home liquidable at any point of time. The future of location also derives the value of the flat or also derives the demand in that particular micro market. If you see, if there is a location where there is a lot of employment is there, lot of IT activities are going on, lot of industries are going on, there will be demand. So there are particular locations in every city where demand of house is always there. It depends on their industrial or micro market situations. So location has to be chosen wisely with taking consideration about the connectivity. Similarly, social economical infrastructure. If somebody is saying ki, I'm staying there and I'm having a school 10 kilometer away, okay, so there is a social economic development lacking over there. So we need to see schools, malls, cinema halls, markets, or every day-to-day activity need should be in and around of my location where I'm choosing to buy a home. So that activity also help us to remain at the invested amount or to remain at the beneficial amount in terms of investment. Similarly, neighborhood, yes, that's the aspect one should, as much as possible, should invest time in neighborhood. If somebody is trying to move from one location to another, currently somebody is comfortable at A location, if he is moving to C or D location, he should inspect the neighborhood in any manner. There might be few things which may be negative for him. There might be few things which are positive. Positives maybe there is a good temples which they like. There is a good community which is which they feel ki it is good for us. There are people whose lifestyle are matching with them. Negative maybe the location is very noisy. You don't like, you are not liking the people over there. The community is there. You don't match with them. That research should be done at ground level as a one of the primary research. One should go there and watch things and see about the things, how they are living over there. Then environment or open space. You must have seen projects. There are like 40% environment open spaces there. You must have seen some ads like that. In current scenario, this is also an important factor. As you see, the density of people living on a particular square feet is increasing. Earlier on to 20,000 square meter plot, almost 100,000 people were living. Now at 20,000 square meter plot, there is a huge buildings there. There are approximately 500 apartments. Then number of people.
I think so.
Now audible, na?
Yeah. You're going on mute. Like.
Yeah, one call is coming. So I had to cut that. Sorry. So environment space is nowadays very much important to have a good health, as natural resources are limited. If you see natural resources on a particular locations are limited. I think there is some disruption. Am I audible
Please
properly?
go on. Oh, I'll check.
Okay, let me go ahead. So environment or open space is very much important in terms of having a good health or a project which is designed as per the requirement of future, because there are lot many things which is coming, which is harming due to urbanization. So there are projects which is providing good environment or green space. So we should look on these aspects also. Yes, everybody has having their own layout, space, customization, the requirement of their how many bedroom I want. I need a sunlight in my bedroom. I need a ventilation, proper ventilated home. All these customizations are there in everybody's mind. So everybody has to think and prepare a to-do list or a wish list. I need all these items along with these things in my flat, because that's very important. When you go to buy a flat now, okay, these marketing activities and all, they will take your mind away, and you will forget ki what I wanted to buy and what I have got. So you need to write something. These all information and these all things I need in my flat. Since all of us are these Brahmins, and I believe okay, most of them living in the Vastu compliant flat and all. So Vastu is also differing from location to location. South has a different Vastu, West has a different Vastu. When you go for a flat, the Vastu is different. When you preparing a row house, when preparing a row house, the Vastu is very different. Okay, so one should definitely visit a Vastu consultant prior to buy a home. It it plays very role, maybe mythology perspective, maybe astrology perspective. It plays a very much role in home and your future of your life also. Similarly, one need to analyze and do some primary research in terms of demand. One need to see uh, if the flat or the project which has been launched has got a good amount of sales, okay, and he has got to know from the sales, then you will get some positive feeling. If there are people, suppose 300 flat project is launched, 200 flat have been booked, then 200 flat have been booked, then we need to see these are the positives. There are 200 people who are positive about the project. There would be something, there is a huge supply. You need to see in and around in a particular location, there are 7 to 8 projects. There is a huge supply, and you are saying that is not uh, you will see that the huge supply is there, then price movement will not be that much higher. So supply and demand analysis should be done properly. One need to think how or when I need a possession. Okay, so when you see if I am looking at a possession, if I'm currently owning a house, okay, I may look I'm not paying a EMI right now. Suppose one body is staying in one 2 BHK flat, and he is staying in particularly 2 BHK flat, and he is not paying any EMI. His home is an asset and which is not required. Then if somebody is not paying EMI, then he may look for under construction project also, as there is no EMI burden as on date. If somebody is staying on rent and he want to purchase a home, then if they purchase a home on under construction, then there are two burdens. One is EMI burden, another is the rent burden. Okay, that needs to be taken care how and what you want. If completed home is there, your construction risk is mitigated, and you may need to pay little bit higher price as compared to the market depending on the negotiation. Similarly, if you are purchasing a under construction project, then you may need to pay little bit lesser price, but it comes with a construction risk also. Then to mitigate that construction risk, one need to see which builder is this, how has been the delivery of that particular builder, how has been the particular delivery of that builder, how is the feedback from the existing buyers of that builder. You need to see also what was the quality of construction of that particular existing developed building. Then accordingly you will decide is the builder is credible when you are going for under construction project. Also, when you see it is a ready project, you should also consult existing developed building homeowners. Is there any default or any defect in their building which has been developed? That kind of feedback one should take. One should also do their secondary research on the Google itself. You will get lot of feedback on Google. There are a lot of blogs are there. You can get some. And once you prepare all your to-do list, wish list, and accordingly have visited few sites, few projects, then you need to compare. Suppose my to-do list or wish list is about 15 items, and I'm getting out of that 12 or 13, and what all item and what weightage I have given to these particular items. Then what all things I can compromise and what things are important for me to have a house, that should be compared with all these projects, and then accordingly it has to be decided. Yes, everybody has their own wish list, everybody has their own requirement. It may differ person to person, it may differ location to location. ठीक है. So there are various permutation combination can happen on a particular wish list by any person. So there are a lot of things which can be covered when you go for a house hunting. Then if I see ki when you decide ki bhaiya these all things are there, my wish list is getting completed and I'm okay with all these things, I can compromise two parameters and uh, I'm okay with the 13 parameter fulfilling, then we should look after financial perspective or financial aspects, because this is one of the costliest expense one body is doing in their entire life. If you are buying a flat in top eight cities, that is Mumbai, Bangalore, Kolkata, Pune, NCR, Bangalore, Chennai, so I believe ki every house is costing more than 50 lakhs. If you are going more affordable, I believe that is one of the costliest expense. So we will cover next slide the financial aspects. What all things we should consider prior to buying in.
Yeah,
So
I would request you, sorry to interrupt you. Before going to the next slide, I would request you to keep the mic a little bit
sure.
closer to you. Actually, we are picking some additional sound while you're speaking. So that is the
Yeah,
reason. Can
no
you just,
problem.
yeah, it will go. Thank you.
So am
Yeah,
I
over to
audible
you.
properly now?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So financial aspects is very much critical, as nobody is having entire amount handy to pay the to buy the home. So one need to see how has been the price fluctuations. Is there any home equity or building equity has been done in that particular location? So since 2014 or 13, prices have not moved that much. But prior to that, there have been a good equity, building equity development in a particular asset on many families. Many families have earned lot of amount in real estate by building or purchasing flat at early stage. But that was there up till 2013 and 14. I believe that will be achieved in longer run from today also, but not in shorten run. That equity building exercise one should see how has been the historically price movement in that particular location. Then similarly, one need to assess their own liabilities. Ki what is my household expense and what is going to be, and what is my existing liability in terms of personal loan, in terms of card loan, etc. That's why they need to assess how much I am paying on that. Accordingly, one must also see what are my future liabilities which is going to arise. Maybe some marriage, maybe some other activity at family, that also need to be taken care but prior to deciding the budget and financial aspect. Similarly, then how is the payment plan? If somebody is buying a under construction home at 1 crore, so there are various payment plans which are available. Like one is construction linked plan. One, as and when construction happens, you need to pay as per your required budget. Similarly, there are subvention schemes, maybe by the builder, maybe by the cooperation with the financial institutions. So one builder is giving subvention scheme that may be like 5 and 95 at the time of possession. So 5% of the 1 crore you need to pay 5 lakh today. And once the building completes, then 95% you can pay at that point of time. So that's basically mitigating that construction risk also. You have just paid 5% and you are not paying any kind of interest. You have just paid 5%. There is no home loan, no interest, everything. But yes, in such schemes, the price of the flat, if you go for construction link plan, it will be like 1 crore. When you go for the subvention scheme, the price of the flat may increase like 1 crore 5 lakh or 1 crore 10 lakh. They factor some little bit interest. So it depends on your negotiation power also, how you deal with them. There is a third payment plan of builder subvention in cooperation with the financial institution and banks, wherein you will get you have to pay, wherein you need to pay 5% or 10%, whatever is the scheme. Then after there will be a disbursement from the bank side or financial institution side on your profile. They will derive your loan amount on your profile. Then accordingly they will disperse the builder as per the construction link plan, and accordingly you will be able to pay the final installment or final EMI starting after the possession. During the meantime, these installments being paid by the builder itself, and there might be a reimbursement kind of scenario. You pay it and builder reimburse to you. So debt to equity, how much equity one can infuse? So one should definitely look upon their PF funds, their savings, their FDs, their mutual fund returns, or any other equity inflows, like they have sold some land or plot, so there is a inflow from their side, or they have sold existing flat and going to purchase a new flat. So these can be your equity, and that is the balance portion out of the total cost would be the debt. So there are lot of housing finance companies, banks, financial institutions, lot of lenders are available for home finance. So that's not a challenge in current market. And how much should be the EMI? If somebody is buying a home, how much should be the EMI? If somebody's income is 1,50,000 take home every month, and he has a household expense of 40,000 and 10,000 of car loan EMI, the balance amount is available free cash flow at personal level is 1 lakh rupees. So one should think 45%, 45 to 50% of the take home salary as a EMI. That is 70 to 80,000 out of 150. Because if you go beyond that, there might be some uncertainty in future. You may default on EMI, and there might be some other required financial liabilities where you may need to compromise if the salary is strict at 1.5 lakhs. So one need to also see what kind of tenure I should take, like 10-year loan, 20-year loan, because as long as I believe 30-year loan is available in the market, up to 30-year loan can be taken on depending on your existing age. Loan is available in the market. So there are two examples to decide the tenure. It's similar. The 1.5 lakh income is there for one person, and they have bought a flat of 30 lakhs. Okay. The EMI of that 30 lakh flat is about 25,000. Okay. Then he may choose for shorter tenure. Shorter the tenure, lower the interest cost, but higher the EMI outflow. Similarly, if somebody is bought a flat of 90 lakhs and took a loan of 80 lakhs and there is EMI of 75,000, then he should take longer tenure. Longer the tenure, higher the interest cost, and lower the EMI. Okay, so what will happen ki your cost of flat will increase by way of interest cost, as you are going to pay uh, all these EMI for a longer period, maybe 20 years or more than that, whatever you choose. Mortgage interest rate, yes, the interest rate defined, because when you choose the EMI in initial year, the interest component of the EMI is higher, as your loan amount is higher and you need to pay interest on them. As much as you pay with the EMI as a principal, your interest get reduced. And currently the prevailing rate in the market is about as good as 6.7%. 6.7% is the prevailing rate. In local language, we say it is less than 60 paisa per month. And similarly, one should definitely, as I told you in earlier slide, what is the duration? If somebody is having a duration of 5 years, then he should do an analysis. If I stay at rent for 5 years, what would be my outflow? Similarly, the similar flat I purchased, what would be my outflow? There are a lot of cases where rental is preferred, as it is the yield of rental is very low. So one must also analyze the rental versus ownership. Yes, somebody is going for longer tenure, the ownership is best. Somebody is taking a flat for 3-4 years or 10 years or less than 10 years, then he may do analysis of rental versus ownership. What would be my outflow as a rent, and what would be the outflow as a EMI? Similarly, one should also prepare their own cash flow. What is my current income, and the growth rate they presume ki in my company I would be able to achieve a 5% growth or 10% growth. And similarly, what would be my outflows in terms of existing liability and future liability. So there might be a scenario कि आज आप 10 लाख का 10,000 का एक इंस्टॉलमेंट भर रहे हो कार लोन का, कार लोन is going to end after 2 years. ठीक है, then you may go up to income to EMI ratio you can stretch like 50%, 55%, because you know that ki car loan will be paid after 1 or 2 years. So there is a stretch is only there for 1 or 2 years. And similarly, you have a feeling that ki my income would be increased by 10% every year, or I'm due for the promotion, I can get another income, another increment over there. Similarly, तो देखना पड़ेगा कितना आदमी का खुद का एक्सपेंस है, एंड व्हाट इज द लाइबिलिटी, क्या लाइबिलिटी आगे आ रहा है, एंड जैसे मेरा व्हाट लाइबिलिटी इज गेटिंग, कौन सी लाइबिलिटी मेरी खत्म हो रही है, उस पर भी ध्यान देना चाहिए. So overall cost factor, so when you buy a home, there are other costs also. जैसे insurance लेना पड़ता है, property taxes are there are maintenance charges are there. So that's why we said कि income to EMI ratio थोड़ा कम रखना चाहिए, क्योंकि ये जब आप own करते हो flat को, तो these expenses are also required to be paid to be at the good place. There are good maintenance cost in Mumbai. There are a maintenance cost as good as 10 to 15,000 per month. ये डिपेंड करता है कि आपके कौन से तरह के आप फ्लैट में रह रहे हो, कौन सा कॉम्प्लेक्स है, what kind of amenities are there, what kind of maintenance costs are there. So that cost should also be taken care properly. So these are the financial aspect. So now we will cover the things. When shall we buy a flat today, or is it worthy to buy flat today or a home today? That we need to identify what is the current scenario. So here I would personally say this: if somebody is going to buy a flat for their own investment, if somebody is going to buy a flat for own investment, I believe today is not the market for investors. They have lost a lot of money in last 4-5 years. I'll tell you a logic over there. If somebody has bought a flat at 1 crore, okay, at 1 crore, he has invested full money from his pocket. There is no loan. In 1 crore, there would be some cost, maintenance cost, and the rent of that particular 1 crore flat is 40,000 per month. So 4,80,000 is the rent. 4,80,000 रुपए का रेंट आया, सामने उसके मेंटेनेंस कॉस्ट होगा 5,000 रुपए महीने का और मोर देन दैट, तो बैलेंस अमाउंट इज 4,20,000, और देयर माइट बी एनी रिपेयर विच वुड बी रिक्वायर्ड, यू कैन कंसीडर 10 to 20,000 का रिपेयर. तो अल्टीमेट रेंट आपके खाते में जो आया 4 लाख रुपया आफ्टर ऑल कॉस्ट, नेट रेंट इज 4 लाख रुपीज. Then after investing 1 crore rupees, 4 lakh is the rent. That means 4% of yield. That is quite similar to your saving account interest. Very well, like 3% is saving account interest. If you compare with the FD, then it is lower than FD itself. FD से भी कम आता है. So for investment, yes, it is not the market, but yes, prices are softer. I'll give you another scenario. 2013 से सबका सैलरी बढ़ रहा है 5-5, 10-10 टका से, ठीक है, बट प्राइसेस तो नहीं बढ़ा है. तो योर पोटेंशियल फॉर बाइंग ए होम विच हैज इंक्रीज्ड फ्रॉम लास्ट 5 to 7 years, but prices are at similar pace. So builder margin have reduced as cement prices, structure prices, and any other raw material prices have also gone up, but prices of flat has not increased. So softer property prices are there, and in COVID times there are a lot of negotiations which are happening. But yes, good projects, my negotiation you will able to get lesser negotiation, but there are projects or markets where you will get good amount of negotiation available in the market. Lowest interest rate, 6.7 interest rate is, I believe, one of the lowest. 2 year back it was about 9%, 8.7 or 9%. So it has reduced by 2% in last 1.5 year or 2 year. And RBI is still keeping the repo rate at 4%. So that is going to be there for quite similar time. 5-6 महीने तक और भी, this is my assumption कि it could be there. Similarly, government के focus में है housing. Urbanization is one of the development, as it is in predominantly in the government agenda also. Housing for all, there are various schemes under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana has been initiated since 2015, and there are various schemes about subsidy also. This is one of the scheme which is not only for the below poverty line, it is the scheme which is available for taxpayer also. आज तक हमने ऐसा नहीं सुना है कि कोई टैक्स पेयर के लिए गवर्नमेंट सब्सिडी दे रहा है. टैक्स वाले से टैक्स ही लेता है गवर्नमेंट, दैट वी हैव हर्ड, ठीक है. नाउ व्हाट इज हैपनिंग, taxpayer also getting subsidies if they are fulfilling under the particular criteria of PMAY. Similarly, earlier the homes which were built like 3 BHK, 4 BHK time घर बनते थे और बड़े बनते थे. So now prices have increased, so home sizes have reduced. So affordability is still there. There might be size of the home may be reduced, but affordability is there, because without affordability nobody will going to purchase. Tax exemption as per old regime, there are a lot of tax exemption. Anirudhji will explain that. Flexible payment plan, builders are giving that subvention schemes, or any other plans, builder subvention scheme. There are many flexible plans, and some builders are offering rent to you after purchase till the time of possession. And one important factor, RERA, Real Estate Regulation Act, which came in force by 2016. So this act has brought the transparency in the system uh, in a particular way. If you say ki fully transparent is there if there is a project is under construction. Under construction project mein full transparency is available. When you go to RERA site, you will get everything about the project. You can see the legal aspect of the project, what is the title of the project land, how they have purchased the land. You may also see what is the configuration of that particular project. When the builder will deliver that project, that date will also be available on the RERA. So you might face builder आपको बोल रहा है कि I will give possession by 2023. ठीक है, when you go to going for a purchase, but when you see RERA, it is written कि भैया 2025 में मिलने वाला. So you should consider RERA 1, because if they don't complete as per the RERA deadline, there would be some penal charges to them. ठीक है, and there have been lot of activities in RERA front also, and home buyer have been favored by the government by their RERA law also. Good decision have been taken under RERA by the home buyers, and that's why if you are going for end use, your purpose of buying home is more than 10 year or 15 year, you should buy the home, because building equity has been the history, may not be from 5 to 7 years. You must have heard earlier कि इतना मैं रेंट देता तो मेरा खुद का घर हो जाता. ठीक है, now that scenario from last 5-7 years is not available, but that will be available as urbanization requirement has improved and families are becoming nuclear and population of India is growing, and since urbanization में ये सब development होता ही रहेगा. So for long term, you should buy property. You should think about buy property, and use of the property in COVID times have been, the importance of property has definitely increased after the pandemic, and the requirement space of the property is also increased during the pandemic. So I believe in long run for end use, one should buy property or start hunting the property with the proper research and primary and secondary research available to them. Over to you. Thank you about this is
Thank you.
about the
Yeah, thank you, Hanumanji. That was a very detailed, very well explained session. I really welcome your thoughts, and this was a very detailed, like everyone can relate to it, and everyone will be using this particular information in order to go ahead. Like while after your session, I think many of us will be thinking of like we are very clear that from where to start, what all formalities are there, what all aspects we need to consider before actually purchasing a house of our own dream. So as I'll give you some breather now, because it's been long before we ask any questions, because trust me, there will be too many. So before asking you the questions, and I would request the audience to please type in your questions in the chat. I'll be taking it up to Hanumanji. So so as we are comfortable with where to start now, in our mind, everyone's mind, as we are a lot more concerned about how much tax benefit we are going to get from the government, like how much exemption we are getting, or how much relief we'll be getting on the taxation front. So let me introduce to you our next panelist, Mr. Anirudh Dadij, who will be taking us through the taxation aspect for our today's topic. Over to you, Mr. Anirudhji. So Anirudhji is a chartered accountant having a vast 10 years experience as a practicing chartered accountant. He's handling very big clients, and he's having so valuable knowledge for you all on the taxation front. So over to you, over to you, Anirudhji. Let's go ahead. Anirudh. Okay, I think there is a technical issue with Anirudh ji. So Hanumanji will be using you. There are some very interesting questions which have come across on the chat. So are you okay with having the questions right now?
yeah, sure.
So meanwhile, when while Anirudh ji fix his the comms, let's go ahead with it. So so a basic questions which we have got is like, what should be life of a property, how to plan in buying for redeployment perspective. So that's an interesting question which we have got from our audience. So what is your take on the planning in order to buy that house from the redeployment perspective?
Yes, there are a lot of technology which has come up. In earlier ways, there was only RCC structure in metros we used to see. So there are many technologies like Maiwan technology has come up. So that has certainly increased the life of the property. Up to 50 to 60 years, there is a life of the property. And if you see the life of the property is there for 50 to 60 years, if you have bought a fresh property, not a uh, resale property, then redeployment can happen after 15 16 years, because your investment value should also get that amount. If you have invested 1 crore as a flat and you have paid interest of about 30 lakhs, so you should get more than 1.33 crore. So redeployment, currently in that particular scenario, 5 to 7 year, I believe कि redeployment में आपको उतना पैसा वापस नहीं मिल पाएगा. So whatever you invest, so avoid whatever interest you are paying, or you don't need to pay much of the interest. If possible, keep paying your home loan, take your home loan whatever best possible, like 80% is available, but keep paying the principal to avoid lesser number of interest. And similarly, you have to wait for some time. If you are going for the end use, then it's a perfect market. And when you are going for the investment purpose, then you should have to wait like more than 10 years as price movement is required. Or you may think about one more thing which can give you some price appreciation. You may need to see the future potential of that particular location. If that location is particularly located nearby a IT hub or industrial location where people are coming, so that demand is how demand is created in real estate. मैंने आज एक फ्लैट 10,000 में खरीदा है, देन सेकंड डे उसका प्राइस कोई 12,000 या 13,000 में हो गया है, ठीक है. इट इज विद द एग्जाम्पल. एक एग्जाम्पल आया कि इसका 10,000 में प्राइस सेट हो गया है, दैट प्राइस इज सेट ओवर देयर, बट दैट वाज द हिस्ट्री. ठीक है. यू नीड टू सी द पोटेंशियल. नाउ देयर हैज बीन places where somebody has purchased at 10,000, now he has to sell at 9,500 also. He has lost the interest also for that particular period. So longer run, it is safer to buy for the investment also, but longer run would be more than 15 years. So that you need to keep in mind.
Yeah. So next question would be from the audience is like house properties, the rates are particularly hyped in India. So because the custom, the Indian mentality is like buy your own house. So what's your take on that? Because the rates are being increased, the rates are being too high. So but the appreciation rate is not too much, as you also mentioned in your session that the rates are not that too high. So what's your take on that, whether it's a asset or a liability whenever somebody is buying a house? So asset, in a layman term, asset is what, if something is coming into your pocket is considered as a asset, if something is going out from your pocket is considered as a liability, in a very very simple and layman term. So in your opinion, what it should be, what a house property should be on day one to day six, year 16, like till the time person will be paying the EMI. So what's your take on that?
I'll tell you what happens when you buy a property. The debt component under the debt to equity mix is very high, is as good as 80%. Okay. So 80% amount have been paid by the financial lender, not by the individual. So as when as you are paying the EMI, जैसे जैसे EMI भर रहे हो आप अपने बूंद बूंद से घड़ा भर के, you are trying to make your asset after 15 years or 20 years. So till the time you don't pay your EMI, or you don't repay your loan, it is your liability. Okay. Once you get your prepayment done, your loan closure done, then it's your asset. But asset with a good investment value or not a good investment value, that has to be derived at the time of loan closure, or at the time of when you have paid all the installments, you have known about your cost along with interest. So 1 crore में किसी ने लिया था, after 15 years he has paid 25 lakh का interest, the total flat value is 1.25. You have to also apply NPV over there. Then you decide at that point of time what is the current market rate in that particular region, uh, and how much I am getting of that particular flat. Similarly, at that point of time, you need to also see what would be my investment value. Yes, it will turn into asset after repayment of the loan. Till the time you don't pay the loan and the loan is lying in your book, the property is with financial institution, it is a liability.
Thank you. So last question before we'll move ahead to before we move it to Anirudh ji, how to plan the loan tenure and the down payment? Like a
I'll tell
salaried employee, how to plan the loan tenure and a down payment? What's your take on that?
I'll tell you. First, if somebody is there as a salary holder, and first they need to see how much my free cash flow per month. See, I'll tell you an example. One body is having a income of 2 lakh, having a good lifestyle, and is having a household expense of 60,000 and 40,000 and other liabilities there. So free cash flow to him is 1 lakh. Okay. On that free cash flow, they first need to do their recalculation or reverse calculation towards debt. How much debt I can avail, which can be availed on the free cash flow available to him. And free cash flow should be like after 1 lakh, you should also take some contingency fund which may require. Then suppose 80,000 installment is available at your level. Then you need to do online Google में जाओगे EMI calculator आता है कि अगर मैं अभी how much I am eligible for a loan at my particular age. They will ask your age, they will ask the current market, and they will take your permutation combination लगा ले. You need to find कि भाई ये इतना EMI I am able to pay. 80,000 का EMI 20 year के लोन पे मेरे को इतना लोन बन जाता है. There are calculators online you may find. तो accordingly you will decide कि मेरे को 80 lakh का लोन मिले. Then you need to search about your equity and about your down payment. So how to search about equity? One thing is available when you are buying for first time. There is a PF available. I believe PF में home घर खरीदने के लिए they are allowed to withdraw. So that PF, how much you can withdraw? There is certain percentage you can withdraw. That much money you need to see that you can use as a down payment. Similarly, any other plot sale you have done or any other sale or any other free cash flow available to you as equity, that depending on person to person. Suppose somebody has a sold a flat in their hometown or sold a plot in hometown, they have got 10 lakh rupees. So that will also form part of the equity. Similarly, any other resource of inflow in terms of saving account, mutual fund का investment कहीं से भी आ रहा है, maybe share market, that will form of your equity. So now depending down payment, how to plan the down payment. Down payment depends on the kind of flat you are purchasing and kind of scheme you are applying to your flat. If somebody is purchasing a flat which is completed, then down payment, what builder will ask for like 5 to 10% down payment they would ask, that you should do by your own investments or equity which is available. There are other options also which people try where they are confident कि 3-4 साल बाद मेरा सैलरी तो अच्छा हो जाएगा, 10-20% हाइक हो जाएगा. So whatever that contingency fund is available, 10-20,000, they buy a personal loan on that. On that personal loan, they get like 10 lakh ka equity as a personal loan aa gaya. So they invest there as a down payment. Then after they go for the home loan. And home loan, you need to seek it should be competitive. And tenure, I tell you, tenure अगर आप affordable housing में जा रहे हो and you have a huge free cash flow, I would suggest take shorter tenure to avoid cost escalations. When you're going for a longer tenure, then definitely your cost is getting increased. Then you need to be sure कि after every year, after 3-4 years, whatever surplus I would be having, I should be paying that for the home loan to reduce my cost of funds, to reduce my interest cost. So tenure totally depending on the free cash flow, how much tenure you want on the basis of amount of house. Shorter tenure would definitely help you, but shorter tenure is quite difficult as the desire of home is high. The affordable housing like किसी का 2 लाख का पगार होगा तो वो ये नहीं सोचेगा कि मैं 30 लाख 40 लाख का फ्लैट खरीदूं. They would definitely think 1.5-2 crore का फ्लैट खरीदूं. So most of the cases long tenure people opt, but try to repay prepay as much as possible whenever available during the tenure of time.
Thank you, Hanumanji. I hope these questions are been answered. We'll be taking up the additional questions which are there in the chat at the far end. So now let me welcome Mr. Anirudh Dadich, who is a practicing chartered accountant, having a vast experience of 10 years. He'll be taking us through the taxation aspects, and I hope your questions are going to increase because everyone is interested how much we are saving. So over to you, Anirudh Dadich.
Thank you, Shaz, for pleasing me so much. I would also thank to Mr. Deveji and their team for supporting me and our such a our budding intellectual person and bringing them on one platform. So now, as Hanumanji told us, we understand where to buy a house, when to buy a house. Now onwards, we are going to understand what are the tax implications if we buy a house. So I must say, buying a house is hitting two birds with a one stone, as it not only create an asset to you, but also brings some tax savings in your pocket. In a broader sense, we are going to understand this topic. So the first we move to our income tax, that is direct taxation. In this, we calculate what is our income from house property and what are the deductions and benefits we are deriving from the government and what government is providing to us. So for considering our income as a income from house property or income from our home, there are some prerequisites, that is land and building apparent thereto. Assessee must be the beneficial owner or the deemed owner to this. All types of properties are taxed under the head of income. Either it is a home, either it is an office, either it is a shop, or some property which is on which there must be a building. So considering these prerequisites, we come to the point that there's some properties will be classified under two categories. That is, either we are going to purchase property for our own residence, or or property as an investment. So if the property gets self-occupied, then government is giving us deduction of rupees 2 lakh maximum amount of as interest if we borrowed a capital, if we borrowed a loan from any bank or any other person. If शरद जी एक बार कीजिएगा.
जी. I think there is an issue. We are on the same page.
Okay, no issue. So the self-occupied property, government is giving us we can avail the benefit of interest paid by us up to rupees 2 lakh. And on the let out property, the same will be the benefit. Technical issue है क्या? Sure, sir.
We are on this like right now we are on the deemed owner slide. I hope you're seeing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if we buy a property, considering for our tax benefit, we transfer the property or buy a property in the name of our spouse or minor child, then it is also considered as property owned by us, not by because there is an inadequate consideration to spouse or minor child. Some other instances are holder of imperitable assets, member of cooperative society, person in possession of property through attorney, person having a right in property for not less than 12 years. That is why maximum lease are of 10 years or maximum to 11 years, not more than 12 years, because they make the tenant as a deemed owner of that property. Moving to other sir, Shad sir, आगे कीजिएगा.
Moved.
Move. ये done हो गया. For self-occupied properties, government has given us an advantage that from financial year 1920, we can consider 2 house properties as our self-occupied properties. Else earlier we have to consider only one property. We can consider only one property as our self-occupied property. Done. Now we are going to calculate how we derive our income from house property. First, we have to calculate gross annual value. That is the property, what a property fetch as rent. For self-occupied, it is nil. For let out, it is rental received. then we reduce our property tax from this. Government has given a benefit of by way of a standard deduction of 30% for repairs and renewals every year. Then we deduct any interest paid on the capital borrowed by us. So there is a two portion of the deduction. One for reconstruction period, second one is for post-construction period. For reconstruction period, we will get benefit of once we get the occupancy certificate or project is completed in 5 equal installments starting from the year in which construction is completed. Secondly, for post-construction period, we are giving a benefit, government has given a benefit as rupees 2 lakh or actual interest paid, whichever is lower, if construction is completed within 5 years. Else, maximum limit of availing deduction is rupees 30,000. After deducting interest and other things, the amount arrived is our income from house property. So let's take an example. If we how it is bring tax saving or how it is healthier to our pocket by for taking a loan. Let's understand an example. If a person is earning rupees 12 lakh, if a person is earning rupees 12 lakh per annum, then how it will bring saving to her pocket. So when we calculate as per old regime tax structure, on first 2.5 is exempt, then up to 5 it's a 5%, and then 20, then 30. The total amount for tax is approx 1.72. So 1.72. And once we buy a home loan from any bank or some other person to buy a property, तो होता क्या है कि आपका जो है करीब 3.5 लाख रुपए का आपको एक डिडक्शन मिलता है, 2 लाख का आपको मिलता है हाउस प्रॉपर्टी के अंदर डिडक्शन, और आपको 1.5 लैक्स का डिडक्शन फर्दर मिलता है अंडर सेक्शन 80EE, जो कि सिर्फ और सिर्फ अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग के तहत मिलता है, बाकी किसी को मिलता नहीं है। और अगर आप अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग के पैरामीटर्स में फॉल कर रहे हैं तो ही आप उसका बेनिफिट ले पाएंगे। तो कैलकुलेशन अगर अपन करते हैं तो करीब 3.5 लाख का आपने वो बेनिफिट लिया, दैट रिड्यूसेस योर इनकम फ्रॉम 12 लाख टू 8.5 लाख। दैट इज आप 30% के टैक्स ब्रैकेट से निकल के 20% के टैक्स ब्रैकेट के अंदर आप आ गए हैं। उसके बाद में आपको फर्दर एक डिडक्शन और मिलता है जो आपने प्रिंसिपल अमाउंट पे किया अंडर सेक्शन 80C। तो जो आपने 80C में से अपन के कैलकुलेशन लेते हैं कि अपन लमसम हमने प्रीमियम पे किया 50,000 का फॉर फर्स्ट ईयर और नेक्स्ट ईयर, तो अपन ने मोटा मोटी 50,000 रुपए का पेमेंट किया उसके अंदर। तो उससे आपका जो टैक्स स्ट्रक्चर आया वो 8.5 लाख, 12 लाख का इनकम, उसमें से 3.5 लाख का आपने डिडक्शन लिया। उसके बाद में आपने 80C का डिडक्शन लिया जो कि आपका हो गया 8 लाख। 50,000 का डिडक्शन लेने के बाद में वो आपका अमाउंट बन जाता है अपना 8 लाख। तो 8 लाख रुपए के ऊपर अगर अपन टैक्स कैलकुलेट करते हैं ओल्ड रिजीम के अंदर, तो आपका मोटा मोटी टैक्स स्ट्रक्चर के हिसाब से बनता है 72,000 के आसपास का आपका टैक्स बनता है। तो आप 72 से निकल के सीधा आप आ जाते हैं 72,000 पे। तो दिस विल ब्रिंग ऑलमोस्ट a tax saving or inflow in your pocket of rupees 1 lakh. This is how taking a home loan is beneficial to us for the purpose of tax saving. बहुत ही अच्छा टैक्स प्लानिंग टूल है। जिसके पास भी इनकम में कहीं पे अगर 30% का स्लैब में चल रहा है वो आदमी, और वो चाहता है कि यार मेरे को टैक्स बचाना है, तो जस्ट बाय, इफ यू हैव सफिशिएंट फंड देन जस्ट बाय अ होम। इट विल ब्रिंग यू मोर बेनिफिट देन एनीथिंग एल्स इन 80C डिडक्ट, इवन मोर देन 80C डिडक्शन। अगर आप 80C के बाकी फर्दर आप किसी में क्लेम नहीं करना चाहते हैं तो आप डेफिनेटली एक होम बाय कीजिए, उसमें आपको 80C का भी बेनिफिट मिलता है। सेक्शन 24 के तहत 2 लाख का मिला, 80EE के तहत आपको करीब 1.5 लाख का बेनिफिट और मिला। तो यूं करके आपका टोटल अगर आप टैक्स बेनिफिट देखेंगे तो 4 लाख का टैक्स बेनिफिट हो जाता है आपको। तो आप डेफिनेटली इसको, अगर आप जाना चाहते हैं, कोई हम होम बाय करने का प्लान कर रहे हैं, तो आप डेफिनेटली कीजिए। आपकी पॉकेट पे भारी नहीं पड़ने वाला है, ये आपको कुछ ना कुछ दे के ही जाएगा। और वैसे भी घर हमेशा कुछ ना कुछ दे के जाता है, लेके कभी कुछ नहीं जाता। खुशियां भी देता है, आराम भी देता है, कंफर्ट भी देता है। ये आपको कुछ ना कुछ देगा ही, लेगा कुछ भी नहीं आपसे। जो आपका अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग का बेनिफिट है, अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग के बेनिफिट जो आपको मैंने अभी आपसे डिस्कस किया 1,50,000 का, ये अर्लियर पहले फाइनेंशियल ईयर 17-18 के अंदर 50,000 का था। फिर गवर्नमेंट ने टू बूस्ट द रियल एस्टेट अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग को एक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इंडस्ट्री का स्टेटस दिया। 1920 में एक बार इसको 1.5 लाख का लिमिट किया, जो कि एक बार बढ़ा के इसको 21 में किया, 21 तक इसको एक्सटेंड किया। ड्यू टू कोविड गवर्नमेंट ने इसको मार्च 22 तक इसको अभी बढ़ा दिया है। इसका कुछ कंडीशन है कि आपके पास में कोई भी दूसरा रेजिडेंशियल हाउस प्रॉपर्टी नहीं होना चाहिए इंडिविजुअल नेम पे। हाँ, आपका अगर कोई सन है, डॉटर है, आप उस वो मेजर है, आप डेफिनेटली उनके नाम से बाय कीजिए। उनका सब्जेक्ट टू उनका एक इनकम फर्दर होना चाहिए, तो ये उनके लिए टैक्स प्लानिंग के लिए बहुत अच्छा टूल प्रूव होगा। A second condition है, the stamp duty value of residential house property does not exceed 45 lakhs rupees। तो स्टैम्प ड्यूटी का वैल्यू जो है वो आपको 45 लाख से ज्यादा नहीं होना चाहिए। नाउ आई होप सबको बेनिफिट हो गया होगा इसका। नाउ वी मूव टू आवर indirect taxation, that is GST applicable to us. How government is deriving some or some gain from selling house property to us। तो GST कुछ चीजों पे एप्लीकेबल नहीं है, जैसा कि अगर आप कोई लैंड परचेज करने जा रहे हैं, कोई रेडी टू मूव इन प्रॉपर्टी परचेज कर रहे हैं, या कोई भी प्रॉपर्टी आप रीसेल में जा रहे हैं, तो आपके ऊपर GST एप्लीकेबल नहीं है। इसलिए जो हनुमान सर ने कहा था कि अगर आपके पास में कोई रेंटल आ रहा है और आपको रेडी टू मूव इन में जाना चाहिए, तो आप ध्यान रखिए, आपको कोई भी बिल्डर आपसे GST चार्ज नहीं कर सकता। GST इज टोटली applicable on ongoing projects। For ongoing projects definition, जो भी प्रोजेक्ट आपके स्टार्ट हुए हैं, जैसा इन्होंने हनुमान सर ने बताया कि रेरा का आप स्टेटस चेक कर सकते हैं, कौन सा ऑनगोइंग है, कौन सा रेडी टू मूव इन हो चुका है। वहाँ पे वो ऑक्यूपेंसी सर्टिफिकेट भी अपलोड कर देते हैं रेरा के अंदर वेबसाइट के ऊपर। जब वो अपलोड करेंगे तो आप उसको चेक कर पाएंगे कि कौन सी प्रॉपर्टी रेडी टू मूव इन है। तो जो नॉन ऑनगोइंग प्रोजेक्ट्स है वो हेल्दियर किसके लिए हैं? वो हेल्दियर हैं ऐसा कोई भी आदमी जिसके पास में आज बजट नहीं है, या वो फ्यूचर में सोचता है कि मेरा फ्यूचर इनकम जो है होगा वो फर्दर इंक्रीज हो जाएगा, वो आपका ऑनगोइंग प्रोजेक्ट्स के ऊपर जा सकता है। ऑनगोइंग प्रोजेक्ट्स के अंदर GST का रेट्स जो है वो फॉर अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग इट इज 1%, फॉर अदर हाउसिंग इट इज 5%। If builder is claiming GST, then it is 12%. If builder is not claiming input of material purchased by him, then it is 1% for affordable or 5% for non-affordable or other housing projects। इसमें एक बात और आती है दिमाग के अंदर कि अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग का क्राइटेरिया क्या रहेगा। अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग में हम कौन सी मेट्रोपॉलिटन सिटीज को कवर किया गया है, किसको अपन टियर 2 मानेंगे। अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग का कारपेट एरिया कंसीडर किया गया है, ना कि आपका बिल्टअप और सुपर बिल्टअप एरिया। तो टोटल कारपेट एरिया ऑफ रेजिडेंशियल हाउस प्रॉपर्टी कैन नॉट एक्सीड 60 स्क्वायर मीटर्स in metropolitan areas, and carpet area of residential property for other towns and cities it is 90 square meters। और जैसा अपन इनकम टैक्स में भी देखा कि 45 lakhs के ऊपर नहीं जाना चाहिए, तो वो चीज उसमें भी GST पे भी उन्होंने एप्लीकेबल कर रखी है। सेम रूल है दोनों ही जगह, 90-60 का भी सेम रूल है, 45 का भी सेम रूल है। मेट्रोपॉलिटन की डेफिनेशंस के जो गवर्नमेंट ने डिफाइन किया है मेट्रोपॉलिटन सिटीज को, उसमें है दिल्ली NCR इंक्लूडिंग गुड़गांव, फरीदाबाद, कोलकाता, चेन्नई, बेंगलुरु एंड मुंबई NCR। मुंबई आपको महानगर बोलते हैं उधर, मुंबई महानगर, मुंबई मेट्रोपॉलिटन, या ये आपके अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग में इंक्लूड हो। अब आपकी एक रेजिडेंशियल हाउस प्रॉपर्टी में मेरे पास एक जनरल क्वेश्चन एक पब्लिक का एक और आता है कि क्या सर हमारे बिल्डिंग के अंदर रेजिडेंशियल भी है, कॉमर्शियल भी है, तो क्या हमारा 12% लगेगा या 5% लगेगा जीएसटी? तो उसका क्वेरी है कि रेजिडेंशियल प्रॉपर्टी के अंदर जो भी आपका कॉमर्शियल एक्टिविटी भी अगर गवर्नमेंट ने अलाउ कर रखी है और प्रोजेक्ट को स्टेटस रेजिडेंशियल का स्टेटस मिला है, तो आपका जीएसटी सिर्फ और सिर्फ 5% ही रहेगा। अगर आप इवन यू आर गोइंग टू बाय अ शॉप इन द रेजिडेंशियल हाउसिंग प्रॉपर्टी, you have to only pay 5% of GST in that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Anirudh ji. Thank you for this taxation explanation. It was, I hope it is a very fruitful and a very relatable one. So I'll just ask you one question, then I'll give you a breather, and let's go to Hanuman ji with the additional questions. Then we can come back to you so that
Sure.
audience is also prepared with their questions for you. So the only question which the audience right now is having regarding the taxation impact is, what is your take on the new tax regime? As in 2020-2021 financial year, we are being given the opportunity to have a two tax regime. One, we can opt for an old tax regime. One, we can opt for a new tax regime. So are we going to get these deductions, or we are going to get these benefits in the new tax regime, or the old tax regime is better when we are considering house property as our foremost option?
सी होता क्या है कि जैसा आप न्यू टैक्स रिजीम के अंदर गवर्नमेंट ने सबसे पहले ये कहा कि सब बाकी सारे डिडक्शंस भूल के अगर आप न्यू टैक्स रिजीम में आना चाहते हैं तो आप आ सकते हैं, यू आर मोस्ट वेलकम। बाकी डिडक्शंस कौन से हुए, बेनिफिट्स कौन से हुए? आपका एचआरए से आपको एचआरए क्लेम नहीं ले सकते, आप हाउस प्रॉपर्टी का कोई बेनिफिट नहीं ले सकते, आप एटीसी का डिडक्शन जो आप अपन जनरली सब पूरा 1.5 लाख का कंप्लीट करते हैं वो आप कुछ भी नहीं ले सकते। तो ये सारी चीजें अगर अपन देखते हैं, कोई आदमी अगर 30% के टैक्स स्लैब में है तो मैं नहीं समझता कि उसको एटीसी का बेनिफिट छोड़ करके और न्यू टैक्स रेजिम में जाना चाहिए। अगर कोई हाउस प्रॉपर्टी बाय कर रहा है तो देखिए आप सीधा सीधा उसको इफेक्ट क्या आता है कि 1.5 लाख का तो एक उसको छोड़ना पड़ेगा, 2 लाख का उसको एक डिडक्शन छोड़ना पड़ेगा, 1.5 और 2 हो गया 3.5। और अफोर्डेबल का 1.5 लाख में वो कितना कंप्लीट कर पाता है वो एक अदर इशू है। तो टोटल अगर अपन कंप्लीट उसको पैक को मानते हैं तो 1.5 2 3.5 3.5 लाख का हो गया, तो 3.5 और 1.5 करीब करीब 5 लाख का बेनिफिट छोड़ करके और आप न्यू टैक्स रिजीम में जाएंगे। तो मैं नहीं समझता कि ऐसा कोई भी हरकत कोई आदमी करेगा जो माइंडफुल पर्सन होगा। वो अपना अगर उसके पास में इतना बैकअप है पीछे इनकम का तो वो डेफिनेटली नए टैक्स रिजीम में जाए, ओल्ड टैक्स रिजीम में ही जाएगा। नया टैक्स रिजीम उन लोगों के लिए था जो कि अभी हाल फिलहाल कोई भी प्लान नहीं कर रहे हैं, उनका फाइनेंशियल ईयर 2021 में के अंदर कोई इन्वेस्टमेंट नहीं किया उन्होंने, और इन दिस ईयर फाइनेंशियल ईयर 21-22 के अंदर भी उनका कोई प्लान नहीं है। तो क्या कि गवर्नमेंट ने एक बेनिफिट दिया, बस उसमें एक सबसे बड़ा बेनिफिट यही है कि आप हर ईयर अपना ऑप्शन चेंज कर सकते हैं। अगर आपका 1.5 लाख का 4 लाख का आपका बेनिफिट आपके पास में नहीं है, गो फॉर द ओल्ड रिजीम, सॉरी गो फॉर द ओल्ड न्यू रिजीम। और अगर आपके पास में ये 3.5 लाख का 5 लाख का बेनिफिट है तो आप ओल्ड रिजीम में आइए, यू आर मोस्ट वेलकम।
Thank you so much. Thank you, Anirudh ji. I'll give you a breather now. So Hanuman ji, can we come back to you? So yeah,
Sure.
okay, great, yeah. So Hanuman ji, can you please highlight us a little more on the Prime Minister Awas Yojana, PMAY? It would be really helpful.
Shortly. So basically, since in 2015, government has come up with the agenda housing for all. So in 2015, one scheme was launched for EWS category as well as LIG category. EWS early economic weaker section as well as low income group. Their income segment is about 0 to 6 lakhs. So what they have given as a scheme, under that if a person who is an adult, married or unmarried, will be considered as a family. Under this person, his income should be less than 6 lakh. He should not own a pakka house in his own name or anybody in the family name. Family, I would say कि family जो होगा एक anybody जो 18 साल से ऊपर है वो या उसकी wife would be considered as a family. तो इसके अंदर इंटरेस्ट का सब्सिडी मिलता है 2.67 लाख फॉर अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग। अफोर्डेबल हाउस में 60 स्क्वायर मीटर का घर लेना होता है, उससे कम का लेगा तो उसको जैसे if he has bought a flat of 15 लाख का फ्लैट खरीदा और 2 लाख जेब से डाला, 13 लाख का फ्लैट उसको 13 लाख का लोन लिया, तो 13 लाख के लोन में जब भी उसकी वो सब्सिडी अप्रूव हो जाएगी तो गवर्नमेंट ने 2.67 lakhs का अमाउंट उसके लोन अकाउंट में डाल देना है. That would reduce the principal of that loan by 2.67 from 13 lakhs. That is one scheme which was announced from 2015. It is still going on. After that, in 2017, there were two additions into that scheme. One is MIG1, another is MIG2. MIG1 मतलब 6 लाख से 12 लाख की इनकम वाला आदमी, rest all criteria remain same. And house which is up to 160 square meter he can buy. That's the two differentiation in MIG1 category. MIG2 category 12 to 18 lakhs and house up to 200 square meter carpet area and 12 to 18 lakhs. So if you see 16 to 18 lakh जो भी कमा रहा है, he is in a way paying some interest, some taxation to government. So ultimately he is also gaining something from the government as a subsidy. So in MIG1 2,35,000 is the subsidy. MIG2 2,30,000 is subsidy.
Thank you. Other question from the audience is, so is buying a plot a better option और एक फ्लैट खरीदना इन्वेस्टमेंट पर्पस के लिए? So what's your take on that? One should go to buy a plot or to buy a flat? It's a very general question. I think many of us will be having that. What should we build? Should we build our own house or get a flat?
No, I think the question is about for the investment, whether to invest in plot or whether to invest in a flat. So on investment front, I would say many of people have burnt their hand by investing into flats or as well as plots also. Plots would be available majorly into tier 2, tier 3 cities. जहाँ पे किसी ने 10 लाख में खरीदा था तो आज 10 लाख कोई देने वाला नहीं है. तो liquidity is still a concern for plots also. But yes, the plot in good developing colony, कोई अच्छा कॉलोनी है जहाँ पे घर बन रहे हैं, it is not a plot का plot ही पड़ा है 4-5 साल तक. There are some price appreciation और जितना invest किया उससे ज़्यादा available है. In Jaipur also, if you see, there are colonies where you won't get plot itself. तो उसका भाव बढ़ा हुआ है. It's totally depending on the micro market कि उसका development of that surrounding, how it is happening. And in flats also, if the location is very well connected, there is a future of development or future of employment is there, वहाँ पे फिर भी भाव है जो stable है अभी भी. So rest also investment is not a right choice as of now.
Thank you. I hope this answers the question. And one more question, Hanumanji. Are tier 2 cities a hotbed to invest now in property, particularly in COVID times when metros and tier 1 cities are more affected? So in COVID times, as the tier 1 cities and the metros are more affected ones. So as Anirudh also mentioned, so is it feasible to invest in tier 2 cities right now? What is your take on that?
The tier 2 cities would be having lot many investment opportunities over there, but that opportunities are worthy or not, that one need to calculate accordingly. अगर आप जयपुर की बात करते हो तो lot of if you compare it with the tier 1 city, the tier 1 city में employment opportunities are very well available, but tier 1 cities में भी different things है. If you see, Delhi has a inventory hangover of about 6 years. आज अगर कंस्ट्रक्शन रोक देता है दिल्ली, जितना चालू है उतना ही करता है, तो 6 साल तक वो इन्वेंट्री नहीं बेच सकता है, इतने फ्लैट पड़े हैं वहाँ पे. सिमिलरली द मार्केट विच आर परफॉर्मिंग, मुंबई, पुणे, हैदराबाद, वहाँ पे 1.5 साल का 2 साल का इन्वेंट्री विच इज वेरी मिनिमल. ठीक है, तो आई वुड सजेस्ट कि टायर 2 सिटीज also having this kind of inventory hangover, as there are not that much employment opportunities, so buyers are very low over there and their income ratios are very low, so purchasing power capacity is not that much in tier 2 cities. So the bad times have hit the tier 2s more, but in tier 1 cities it has it has not इसने ज्यादा impact tier 1 में नहीं किया है for few cities, but here tier 1 में दिल्ली में ज्यादा affected है, और you may see कोलकाता में थोड़ा affected है, but rest all cities are doing well even after COVID times. There are cities जहाँ पे last year से ज्यादा माल बिका है, even since April 2020 से मार्च 2021 तक देयर आर सिटीज जो लास्ट ईयर से ज्यादा माल बिका है वहाँ पे फ्लैट्स बिके.
Thank you. One last question to you. So slum development projects are very tricky. How one has to be careful. The builders do not give possession on time. How do we deal for the delays? So moreover, it is related to the delay which builders do. So what's your take on that?
I tell you, this is basically Mumbai based question. So slum development are happening in Mumbai only, I believe so. So how is the structure of project? I tell you, what happens if suppose 500 slums are there, they have to be rehabilitated in a particular building. And similarly, there is some sell portion which is available for the builder to sell. तो उसमें क्या होता है, जैसे ही वो बेचने लगता है, उसका जो सीसी आता है बिल्डिंग का, सीसी इज डिपेंडेंट ऑन द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ कंप्लीशन स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ एग्जिस्टिंग स्लम बिल्डिंग. जैसे स्लम बिल्डिंग का 4 स्लैब बनाया है तो प्रोपोर्शनल बेसिस पे उसको काम करने का परमिशन मिलेगा फॉर द सेल बिल्डिंग. ठीक है. तो डिले, यस डिले, one thing for delay nowadays is RERA. You can definitely approach RERA court, which is quite affordable itself, and even you can also be your lawyer under RERA court, and you can get your refund if you are not interested, and you can uh, get out of the project. If there are more delays, so I think RERA would be the fastest form to resolve any issue. And ज़्यादा delay है तो it's definitely hurting you, and the price appreciation is not getting up also, as well as जो पैसा लग रहा है interest का वो भी आपको ज़्यादा ही लगने लग गया होगा. So I think you should approach RERA for immediate resolution, because there would be some timeline which would be given in the agreements. Yes, अगर ज़्यादा delay है तो they need to ask, as per RERA rule, they need to ask your permission for the extension of completion date. ठीक है. So you may approach your all colleagues who have bought a particular flat under that particular project. You may form a particular opinion. Similarly, ultimately, the view would be that completion would be the key. अगर आप complete नहीं किए, आपका फ्लैट आपने भले ही 5 करोड़ में खरीदा है, उसका वैल्यू नहीं है. जब तक complete नहीं होता है, I would say कि भले ही आपका लॉस हो गया हो, मे बी 5 करोड़ में खरीदा, 4.5 ही हो रहे हो, पर जब तक वो कंप्लीट नहीं होगा वो 4.5 भी नहीं. तो one should think in that situation about the resolution for completion of it, rather than going to court and all. If you can get the money, then one of the best thing is that कि ठीक है आपको पैसा मिल गया, whatever you have invested.
One last, we have just got one more question. So that will be the last question to you. The question is from an investment perspective. So what is the what's your take on the future in India if you wish to float your property as a service apartment through private sector provider, example Airbnb? So what's your take on that on the basis of investment perspective particularly?
I would say you just need to calculate yield on that rent. So I took one example of 1 crore में किसी ने property खरीदा, the net rental is 4 lakh per year. तो अगर आप वो 1 करोड़ रुपए कहीं और FD में लगाते तो it would have gained more than that, or wherever possible you have put it. अगर आपके पास कोई old property है और उसका जो investment आपने already एक building equity build कर लिया है, ठीक है, then it's good idea to invest under Airbnb and all, because your money is already under the asset and you can get the good revenue out of Airbnb or whatever may be the PG solution you may opt. Or long run में there are markets which are coming up, there are new industries evolving in the real estate, which is that ki you may say senior citizen housing on rentals, rental housing people. There are builders who are building the buildings and providing a service for a rental housing. एक बिल्डिंग बना लिया, 10 साल का रेंट पे आपको दे दिया, you will be like a owner for 10 years and you will be paid. Yes, that would be little bit costlier for them, but the value of these terms will build the market cap of that particular flat. तो नया प्रॉपर्टी खरीद के Airbnb पे चढ़ाना है, that's not a right choice in current scenario.
Thank you, Hanumanji. That was very informative one. I'll come back to Anirudh ji. So Anirudh ji, we have a question from the audience. Is we have talked about Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana here. There is a subsidy involved which the government is paying, as mentioned by Hanumanji. So is that subsidy taxable or non-taxable?
See, the subsidy we receive is our part is adjusted in our loan amount. If we buy, if you take a loan of rupees 20 lakh or 25 lakh, तो सब्सिडी जो भी है उसका वो approximately 2.5 लाख के आसपास का सब्सिडी मिलता है 2.5 लाख का. So that subsidy will be adjusted in our loan amount. So it will be treated as a capital receipt, not a revenue receipt. So it is not taxable under income tax.
Thank you. There is one more question, which is after that, after death, if will was not prepared, it's difficult to transfer it to a nominee. Generally, complication of a succession certificate are required. But if while a person is alive, can he transfer the property in his son's name as a gift? What is the stamp duty one has to pay on a possessed property by his son? Is the base taken property cost at the time of buying a flat or existing market value? What will be the base?
It will be the DLC of that area. Stamp duty जो भी है, stamp duty will be according to the state. DLC will be the DLC rate. Stamp duty will be applicable on the DLC rate, and stamp duty rate is decided by the state government.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. So one question is, during the year, me and my father purchased a house for residence as co-owners on loan and paid, let's say 4 lakh as an interest. We have 50-50 co-ownership in the house property. Can we both claim deduction for interest we paid?
Yes, you can. You both are eligible for the deduction. Actually, जो अगर आपका प्रॉपर्टी रेशियो सर्टेन कर रखा है, आपने लोन रेशियो एंड प्रॉपर्टी रेशियो का आपने सर्टेन कर रखा है, तो डेफिनेटली आप दोनों ही एलिजिबल हैं डिडक्शन लेने के लिए. Both will get a deduction of 2 lakh under section 24 and claim deduction under 80C of 1.5 lakh as a principal amount. You are eligible for both deduction.
Makes sense. Yeah, thank you. So one more question. Currently, I am living in a society where I'm paying 6,000 per month as maintenance charges. Is GST applicable on that?
See, if your society total receipt is more than 20 lakh, only then society has to get registered under GST. First condition is turnover of the society is 20 lakh. Second condition of that is per month maintenance charges should be more than 7,500. So since the question you are asking is not complying not satisfying the both condition, hence there is no GST applicable on that.
Okay. Thank you. Last question to you. So in an under construction house, buyer suggests some modification to a builder for his flat. Whether GST is applicable, like after asking for a modification, what is your take on that?
Yeah, GST is, since property is under construction, the GST is applicable on that. Same GST rate will be applicable on the modification. If the modification will be done as separately, then rate of interest is rate of GST is 18% or 12%, and if the person suggested in that particular time, then it will cost around 1% or 5%, as the case may be.
Thank you so much for your valuable time. We'll conclude the session with last question to Hanumanji. I missed this question from the audience. So which type of rate is better, floating or a fixed interest rate?
India is developing country. I believe rate would be ranging between 6.5 to 9 or 10 for next few years, as compared to other countries like developed countries where rate of interest is less than 2% as well. So floating, if you are getting a good fixed rate is below 7% or below 7.5, you may choose if your tenure is like the balance tenure is higher. But if you say कि भैया currently if you want to enjoy your current rate say which is 6.7, and whenever you see कि इसमें कुछ price बढ़ने वाला है, ठीक है, and ज़्यादा ही price बढ़ने की you have expectation, that time you can convert by paying some fees to your financial institution.
So in case RBI defer the interest payment under the COVID-19 moratorium, can we claim the interest as a deduction, or is it on a cash basis? Like when
you
we
will
pay,
get a
we can claim.
certificate.
Yeah.
I'll tell you when you deduct when you claim it, okay, there is a certificate from the financial institution how much you have paid. ठीक है? If you are saying कि RBI ने मेरे को 6 महीने का deferment दे दिया, I want to claim that 6 months, no, you cannot. The interest certificate मिलेगा financial institution से, you have to take the claim accordingly.
Thank you. I hope it answers all of our questions. It satisfies all of our doubts while buying the house property. I hope everyone will be investing their mind now what all should be the formalities or what all needs to be done in order to take up a good thought about whether to buy or to rent or whether to invest. So I'll hand over the mic to Madhusudanji, who can just take over from here. Thank you so much, guys. It was a very good session. Thank you.
थैंक यू मिस्टर शरद।
One-
मैं आप
one
सबको
second.
बहुत बहुत
One-
धन्यवाद देता हूँ, विशेष
मधुसूदन
तौर
जी,
से हनुमान जी को। यस सर।
एक सेकंड, वो जस्ट आई वुड लाइक
Yes,
टू, जो अपने जो आए हुए हैं गेस्ट में से, आई वुड लाइक टू फर्स्ट 2-3 का नाम लेना चाहता हूँ। वन इज वाइस प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ रत्नाकर बैंक, वो आए हुए हैं, हम काफी उनका स्वागत करते हैं। करे देयर वर क्वाइट अपने वीरेंद्र जी CFO है लैंडमार्क से। देयर इज रश्मि दाइमा भारती जी, उनका स्वागत करता हूँ। बट बिफोर दैट आई वुड लाइक टू एक शब्द आई वुड लाइक टू टेल रिगार्डिंग बुल्लो जी। शी इज जॉइनिंग अस, शी इज द हेड ऑफ द लेडीज विंग ऑफ ऑल इंडिया। अगर शी कैन गिव जस्ट 1 minute टू अस, it will be एक बार we would like to speak, अगर if she can come for 1 minute to us। बिल्लो जी आप आ सकते हैं।
बिल्लू बोल रही है। अब आप
बुला आंटी, आप शायद म्यूट पे हैं।
हेलो,
या वी कैन
सुन
हियर यू।
सकते हैं मुझे?
या आपको
हाँ
सुन
जी, हाँ जी।
थैंक यू देवेश
हाँ,
जी।
yes, बोलिए।
प्रणाम
Thank you.
पहले सबसे पहले आपको, and thank you for giving me such a privilege, and you personally invited me for this program. It was nice attending you,
Thank you,
and
thank
the
you।
program was really very useful, very helpful in these days. People, youngsters want to buy a house, and Hanuman he's my cousin, and he's given us
Very
Hanuman
good।
is my cousin, and he's given us a very good information regarding this house, and he's explained it very well, the pros,
Mhm.
cons, everything. That was
सही
very
बात।
nice of him. So we should thank Hanuman also for being very clear about everything.
Thank you।
And
सही
my
बोला।
daughter is doing her CS. She also had joined the session, and she also has got a lot of information regarding buying a house and all. So
Very
I thank you all for this very wonderful session. We really enjoyed the session. Thank you.
थैंक यू। शंकर जी दाइमा जी, 1 मिनट के लिए आप आ सकते हैं? आप वाइस प्रेसिडेंट रत्नाकर बैंक से हैं। शंकर जी, इफ यू कैन हियर मी, है क्या शंकर जी?
नहीं, I can't see him.
इज नॉट देयर करके।
Yeah, he's not there.
वीरेंद्र जी, वीरेंद्र जी इज आल्सो नॉट देयर।
Yeah, I think they left.
वीरेंद्र
Yeah, Virender ji is there. Virender ji is there. I think he's on mute.
वीरेंद्र जी, कैन हियर मी? आई थिंक वो उनको शायद आवाज नहीं आ रही करके। एंड अपने भारती जी इज आल्सो फ्रॉम बेंगलोर, शी इज द हेड ऑफ वन ऑफ द मल्टीनेशनल कंपनी। भारती जी 1 सेकंड आएंगे क्या?
हेलो हेलो।
हाँ, या वीरेंद्र जी, वेलकम वेलकम।
हाँ, सॉरी देवेश जी, I couldn't hear it properly. Yeah.
नहीं, या वीरेंद्र जी एक सेकंड बाद।
I think there is some disturbance in between. Virender ji, can you hear us?
Yeah, now it's clear. Yes.
Yeah. Please go ahead. Yeah.
या
So
वीरेंद्र जी,
it's a very nice articulation done by all participants, and when we should look for an investment in real estate property, I think the market is down as specified by that market is really means not picking up, and it's a good time to invest. I think so.
नाइस। मुझे भी यही लग रहा है, जब से हनुमान जी को सुना हूं अभी मैं ये लगा हूं कि कौन सी अच्छी प्रॉपर्टी ढूंढी जाए, आइदर इन बॉम्बे और इन जयपुर पॉसिबली करके। आई विल टेक हिज एडवाइस करके। भारती जी, कैन यू कम फॉर 1 सेकंड?
Hello everyone. Everybody can hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really a nice presentation by Hanumanji and Anirudhji, and very valuable information being shared. And since we people are also looking for a home, so I would say it was really very, very informative for us. So thank you for this information. Really great.
रश्मि दायमा,
भरत जी व्यास से भी निवेदन करूंगा कि वो भी एक बार 1 मिनट के लिए आए।
आ जाइए।
श्री भरत जी व्यास, आप भी हमारे समाज के काफी कर्मठ कार्यकर्ता हैं।
वेरी गुड।
हाँ, भरत जी व्यास।
म्यूट पे।
हाँ जी सर।
नमस्कार।
हेलो हेलो।
यस सर, बोलिए सर।
हाँ मधुसूदन जी, आपको बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं पहले तो।
धन्यवाद सर। ये हमारे देवेश जी का काफी अच्छा ये आयोजन है, और नए नए सब्जेक्ट के ऊपर आप वेबिनार लेते हैं तो बहुत यूजफुल है।
हाँ जी।
तो आप निवेदन करूंगा 2 मिनट के लिए आप थोड़ा सा संबोधित करिए सर।
सर किस टॉपिक पे?
आप जनरल बोलिए सर।
जयपुर की प्रॉपर्टी बता दीजिए आप तो।
चलो ठीक है सर, धन्यवाद सर, धन्यवाद।
ठीक है सर।
तो हाँ,
we have Rashmi Daima. She is the vice president of a multinational company. Rashmi, what is your take on your Bangalore? Rashmi, can you unmute yourself? Rashmi Daima. I think. Rashmi, can you hear? चलो, I think she is not there करके। हाँ, चलिए आप कंटिन्यू करिए।
मैं आप सभी का आभार व्यक्त करता हूं, विशेष तौर से हनुमान जी और अनिरुद्ध जी का, जिन्होंने पूरी जानकारी हमें दी, और इस समय में इस कोविड काल के अंदर हमें प्रॉपर्टी में किस तरह से इन्वेस्ट करना और इन्वेस्ट करने में क्या फायदे होंगे और किस तरह की प्रॉपर्टी में किस तरह से नहीं करने का, इसके लिए आपने बहुत अच्छी तरह से हमें जानकारी दी। और साथ ही साथ में जो सब जुड़े हुए जो हमारे बंधुगण थे, वो सब जुड़े, उनका मैं बहुत बहुत आभार प्रकट करता हूँ। और सफल संचालन के लिए शरद जी शर्मा का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। साथ ही साथ जो हमारी जो बैक और सपोर्ट जो टेक्निकल टीम थी, उसको भी मैं बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद दूंगा। और विशेष तौर से इस पूरे कार्यक्रम को संयोजन करने में श्री देवेश जी दादी साहब का जो योगदान रहा, वो बहुत ही साधुवाद के पात्र हैं। इतना ही कहकर मैं अपने को वाणी में विराम देता हूँ, और आप सबको शुभ सायं, शुभ रात्रि। आप सबको
एक सेकंड। आई थिंक निखिल इज देयर। निखिल
प्लीज।
निखिल जी प्लीज आगे निखिल जी। अरे इनकी नाइट ड्यूटी थी।
I was waiting from a long time when my time. So first of all, thanks to all of you, and a very good evening to all of you. Today I am very glad and proud to be a part of the 25th webinar of DITF, and I expect that it would reach a milestone of 50 and 100 soon. So today's topic was very interesting about the house. So a house is made of bricks and beams, but a home is made up of hopes and dreams, and it is where the memory resides, and it is created. So first of all, I would like to thank our presenter, Mr. C. Sudan Dadi ji, and first of all, Devesh Bhaiya also. He is in relation to brother to me, elder brother to me. After that, our moderator, Mr. Sharad Sharma, he has told very good about that roti, kapda and makan, and it is the basic necessity of a person. After that, our panel speaker, Mr. Hanuman Asopa, very well spoke by Hanuman Asopa. I have noted various points from him also, like the relaxation given from the government. Like if you are switching to a place for a shorter period, so you should don't buy a house, you should rent a house. Or if you are shifting to a place where you are expecting to live for a longer period, you should buy your own house. After that, the main factors about the locations, the like school, hospitals, temples, and about the environment of the site by places, and about the Vastu also. He mentioned about Vastu, various offers and schemes given by the builders to the customers. So we should take benefit from them also. And last, he concluded with today there is no, in general, there is not good market for the investment purpose. So I noted various points about him. And after that, I would like to thank Mr. C. Anirudh Dadij. He had very well explained about the taxation aspects, like the tax saving, direct and indirect taxes applicable in the properties, taking property on the name of his son, spouse, and other persons, so he can make a benefit in the taxes. About the government scheme, which like Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana and the subsidy which are provided by the government, and different sections also he has well explained about to us, like with a good example taking in the taxation. After that, the example with the home loan and benefit of the 80C, and about the affordable housing. So it was a very good seminar, and I am very glad to be the part of the seminar. And I would like to thank our all audience also. They have supported us, and we have reached the milestone of the 25th. And with the blessings of the Dichirishi and our Devis Bhaiya, so we'll make a limestone in the future also. So I will hand over to Madhusudan Ji Dadis. Sir, thank you, sir.
आपने सब मेरी बात जो थी पूरा सारांश उसका आपने कह दिया है, इसलिए मैं पुनः ज्यादा समय नहीं लेते हुए आप सबका धन्यवाद देता हूँ, और आप इसी तरह से अगले वेबिनार में आप सब शामिल हो इसी अपेक्षा के साथ बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। ओवर सर, थैंक यू।
Thank you.
Thank you everyone. Yeah. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.